Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another PGR reaction. Today we have Down the Cursed Path. A lot of people wanted me to get to this one. Basically, every single comment that wasn't about the exact song last week was asking for this song. So here we are. I'm going to listen to it. We're going to see what's involved. I am going to be listening to like the 4-minute version. I was given a link to like a 7-minute version, but apparently that's just like a copy-paste sort of situation. It doesn't have the actual full song. So I'm just going to listen to the official one and just use that. Sorry, I'm not going to have the full thing. I don't know where to find it. I don't even know if it's public to my location right now. So that depends, but I'll listen to this one, what I've got. And without further ado, let's go. Okay. I feel like I always say that when a song starts, but it's because I get a wave of what the song is gonna be like in that first second. And this one's setting its mood very well already.
Reshape the betrayal and the truth. The thought of vengeance flows in my veins. Spawning traumatizing thoughts, blazing at the crack in the deepest dark. Gripping onto timelines. This last battle's causing drama on my mind again.
Ooh, I love the synth work going on in here.
In my way, point at the multiverse with my blade. Pleading for sock, cracking your leeway. Temporal rift is about to decay. Coldly hiding away. Beyond who I was, here I am like a storm.
This sounds kind of familiar in a weird way. Okay, now it's very different. Okay. Just the verse there sounded like something else I knew. I love that. Whew. I love that guitar part. Oh, that's so clean. It's a great addition to everything else this song is doing. I wouldn't call this riff driven, but I like that they have that in there.
The constant persistence of the frame, fading my soul to a regime. Split big to splash, flaring propellant under every step. Crushing in the twisted, blending no dimension, bringing peace of mind.
Why is bro holding the gun sideways? That wouldn't be doing much, you know? Like, single hand is never probably the best option, but especially sideways.
There is now nothing left to lose. I must obey you. Relax the scene, break the chain of misery, flash again. Spread enough to despair, God, like free this hell.
See, like, this pre-chorus is so punchy.
Bursting out from the groove across space and time. Spirit never fails.
It's like the supportive guitar for this is so... It's nestled back in there. Like, you can't hear too much of it. It's like the perfect amount. Hell yeah. I can definitely hear how that song would probably be longer in the grand scheme of things. Like, I feel like there's a part or two that were probably cut, maybe another refrain to the chorus, maybe another verse, but otherwise I think it's a good song even with the shorter version. I don't feel like I missed anything, and that's a good sign. All right, so I was actually going to start off by calling out this song for having pretty bad audio quality in general. This upload was not great, but it was just this upload. I looked at the one from Naru VT, and that was fine. It was much higher quality, much better fidelity, and I did find out that was the link, by the way, that I was linked to for the longer version, but the first half of that is literally just instrumental, and then it kicks into this version of the song. So I am kind of glad that I heard this one, despite the quality difference. That one is much better. So if you want a higher quality version of this song, for whatever reason, the PGR team just did not get the upload right for the quality there. It's just very crusty, very compressed. I don't know entirely what's going on there. That was probably an intern's fault. Like, it's usually what happens. They give that job to some random person who might have just messed up the export settings. It doesn't really matter, but it does lead to a worse overall experience listening to the song, and that's kind of a bummer on the official channel. Either way, though, I did like this song. It does some fun stuff, and albeit it is pretty simplistic with how it's made, it's all in the details that I love for this song, especially that little guitar part. Like, I love that this song sits in E minor. It's a very easy key for me to get my head wrapped around, so it makes things real easy to explain, and the chorus mainly is like E minor, D, C, and then it goes like with like A minor up to a B minor. And that's just the chord progression that we get for the song. There's another variation of it where it like builds up from the C to the D to the E minor. And sometimes instead of using the E minor, it goes up to the E, which is kind of an interesting take. The same thing happens with the B minor. It sometimes goes up to a B. It really just depends on when they're trying to push the narrative of the song and just what chord is utilized. Are we going to raise that third up there and let's see what happens? You know, that's just a musical thing, and it makes a lot of sense where they had those moments. It's just also really nice to hear them add those in a song, because it is something that's done pretty often, but it's not done as often as this. This song did this like 4 or 5 different times in this one track, and it was a shortened version, so it's like that's pretty frequent to make those sorts of adjustments. But again, it's just when the song feels it needs it. When do you need to relieve that tension or add that tension? Another thing, and this is a little bit more rare that this one happens, this song at one point goes into an E sus4, resolves into the E, and then starts back down in the E minor and continues on with a normal chorus chord progression. That's really cool to me. The fact that they were like, let's build this up and then drop it and then go right back to what we were doing. You know, that's cool. I really like that structuring. That's a really neat factor, and that only happens like in the latter maybe third or so of the song, maybe somewhere near the middle. I can't quite remember, but it was somewhere in that later chunk, and I love that because that's a quality, again, of these chord relationships that you don't get to hear, because a lot of times this is where you end. The sus4 into the major or whatever the neighboring follow-up, usually a major chord, would be. That's where you would end that relationship. But they were like, no, we got to get back down to this E minor. So like stepping it down the half steps like that is a bold move musically, but I like that it worked somehow. And I think it worked because of how subtle it was. It was not this big moment in the song. It was a shift in the song, but it was being covered by other things going on. So you didn't really get distracted by it. And I think that's why most people don't do that sort of thing, because it is so distracting to take such an extreme jump downward that like here to here isn't something that hits our ears well as listeners. So it's something people tend to stay away from unless the point is to cause that sort of a jarring moment. And while this song was kind of trying to do that, it wasn't the goal of that moment. They were trying to get back to the main progression, but they wanted to hit on that other more brighter sound that the E major gives you. So trying to adjust from that and move on with the normal progression, the key that you're in, and without changing the key and making the entire song sound different, that was a very bold, honestly a very brave choice, and I like it. I think they worked that out very well. Also, things like the guitar in there, which was one of the factors why that kind of blended in. The distortion of the guitar was kind of blending all that together and acting as like this sonic glue that was really making everything kind of work there. I love the little things they had here, like the goes all the way up to that high A, like skips at least, it might have honestly skipped 2 because of how guitars work. There is a harmonic there, and that could have been a double octave jump there, albeit I'm pretty sure it's only 1. Point being, that's so cool, just to have those little interludes in there. That's a detail that I sing praise about a lot. These extra layers and extra details that help make the song feel more alive and like there's constant movement without letting things fall apart. If you removed that guitar part entirely, just that little interlude even, the entire piece would feel like there's something missing. Even without having it in there to begin with, I would have been like, why isn't there something here filling up that space? This is probably something that the composer felt while they were making the song, and they probably added that in there just to fill that space, just to add a little bit more spice to that, because if you don't have that, the song is going to feel empty, and your job as a composer would be to keep that energy appropriate for the song and story going the way it needs to. If they didn't have something that felt so good in there, then the song would have hit honestly so much less than it ended up doing. So great call on the composer side there, having that little interlude. That honestly probably made the song. If they didn't have that, I feel like I would have just been like, it's kind of average, you know? The rest of the song, totally good. It's not like it's taking anything away, but if you were to take that out of there, I feel like the energy would be just sucked dry. And everything else, as far as the atmosphere went, worked really well. They didn't push it too far towards the atmospheric side of things. They kept that rock stuff in there very present and alive instead of just trampling all over it, because a lot of the time that happens, like they'll either go too far into the rock or too far into the atmosphere stuff, and like one will suffer as a result from that. But this song was pretty well balanced, all things considered. They did a fantastic job with that. I think the lyricism might be the worst part of it, and this seems to be a running thing with PGR songs. Unfortunately, their lyrics just don't hit for me for whatever reason. I feel like it's because they're probably just a smidge too wordy, like a little too verbose, honestly. Like there is a balance to having songwriting that is less heavy in syllable count, and I feel like this song struggles from having too many syllables. There is a happy medium somewhere in between, and I feel like this song is just a little bit too much on the scale of how many syllables are you using, what are you trying to say, can you say it in a more concise manner is kind of what's bugging me. And this is, again, is something that I've called PGR music out for as a whole. Different composers, everyone kind of has their own approach, but there seems to be something with how PGR music is, and I don't know if it's just their music director choosing to have these more verbose lyrics that are just making things feel a little bit more sluggish when you're listening to them, but it feels like it's trying too hard to tell the story, you know? Like, I don't know how else to explain that. I feel like it's like if you go to a play and then somebody just starts reading a book to you on stage and you're like, you know, like it's a little too much for the expectation of what I personally want to hear out of music. There's a world where this song has just a slightly better adjusted lyricism that makes me go, hell yeah, this fits, this feels great. The vocalist was fine. It was just a matter of too many lyrics, I think, just a little too much. Otherwise, pretty fucking good song. Again, if you want to hear this better version of it, as far as the quality goes, Naru VT's version, much better. I'll link both down in the description, the one I used and their version as well, just so you can hear that quality difference, because it is honestly stark. Like, the bass is cleaner. You hear way less of the little crackliness underneath the electric guitar stuff. So if you've only heard the official version and you're watching my video now, go listen to that one, because it is a day and night level of difference as far as quality goes. But I'll digress here. Thank you all so very much for watching. If you have another song you want me to get to from PGR or anything else, by all means, drop in the comments below and I will do my best as always to get to those. Or if you don't want to do any of that, maybe just want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that. And I'll see all of you in the next video. Goodbye.